This is Sportbike Track here. I'm Max Van.
I'm Brian Van, and today we're going to install the M4 full carbon system on, well, it's not his, it's actually mine, 2015 Yamaha R3. Okay, the kid's got to install this. Dad's going to help just a little bit, right? The bodywork removal part, we've done that 100 times. Video Steve said, you know what? We're just going to fast forward through that. So if you need bodywork removal tips, stock bodywork removal tips, he'll put a link in the video text to one where we've already done that. We're going to begin by pulling off the fairings. Okay, we're ready to go now. We pulled the side fairing off, so we've got a really good view here so you guys can watch him put the system on. The first thing we're going to point out is he showed up here today in flip-flops. So I made him go put his race boots on, right? We're not walking around in the shop in flip-flops. That's just how it is. Installation of this system, this is really basic. This bike's pretty easy to work on. Things we're going to have to do. We're going to have to remove the header from the engine, okay? There's gaskets in there. Our hopes are we can reuse those. We've been able to reuse them every single time. And typically, you can reuse those things over and over again. Had great luck with that. The oxygen sensor here, the fuel sensor, we need to take this off, right? Got to start by getting the wiring harness free. A couple of different ways you can do this. You can unplug it, which gives you a lot of slack to work with, or you can break it loose and kind of twist the harness. That's what I like to do because I'm not digging in there for the other end of that connector. So there you go, kid, break that loose. Okay, now watch this, buddy. I'll show you something here. Go ahead and twist that out. That's going to twist down the harness just a little bit, but you can see it's really, really long. You're not going to damage the wires, okay? Okay, you got that out of there. We're going to go ahead and slide that up out of the way. We're just going to let it hang there, and I'll show you how we reinstall that so that we don't have any issues. Next, want to get back here. This pipe, the Hindle pipe we have on here, is supported back here at the frame mount, okay? So we need to get in there and break that loose. I don't want to take the bolt all the way off until we have the header flange nuts out. How's that feel? There you go. Nice. I got it. Okay, the kid managed to get all the flange bolts off up there by the header. Now he's going to support the system, so hold it up there, buddy, okay? And this is the mount point, right? I'm going to take this all the way off now. This is going to look a little different than your stock stuff. We've put several systems on this bike now. We do have multiple videos that are going to show the stock system and what it takes to get that off. End of the day, that is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, I'm good here. Now I'm going to slide this out. And go ahead and wiggle up there, buddy.
Got one out.
Got one. There we go. Let it dip down so I can come back. And there you have it. Hindle system is off. Okay, what Max is doing right now is he's making sure the gaskets are in place because they didn't fall out when we took the system off, right? They're both in there. I've looked at them too. They're in really good shape. Leave them there. when you're installing the header, you want to make sure obviously they don't dislodge or fall off. But that's a step that you're going to need to take as well. Now, our first step is going to be getting the header up on the bike. What I like that M4 did here is the spigots are welded right to it. There's going to be no springs with this system. The flanges are going to bolt right up. We've got an adapter here. We're going to use the stock fuel sensor, so we need the reducer. If you're going to use an auto-tune setup, you're able to take this out and install a larger diameter sensor. We have a mid-pipe with a barrel clamp and then the carbon canister also with a barrel clamp. Great quality stuff. I took a quick look at the instructions to see where some of the spacers and stuff went. We're ready to roll right now. I'm going to start by installing this adapter in here. We've got dissimilar metals. If we in fact want to take this out down the road, you need to put a little anti-seize on this. Anytime you have two different types of metals that you're bolting together like this, buddy, threading down together, corrosion is possible.
Will that work with bearings too? Like,
just same way, it's similar to lubricating a bearing. This isn't a moving piece, right? But you're only doing this so...
will anti-seize work to make things like not creak?
Nope, that's lubrication. You're talking about the pivot on your dirt bike right now, aren't you?
Nope. My scooter, my headset, my bearings.
That thing's creaking?
Bad. Not bad, but
So we're going to go ahead and thread this down, and we'll tighten that up, and then we'll be able to install the pipe. Okay, we're ready to slide the pipe up into position. First thing I'm going to do is get the flanges up here like this. I'm going to help the kid out just a little bit, not too much. Just kind of get it started and get him in a spot where he can get the flanges over. Okay. Now go ahead and grab a flange, buddy. I want you to try and slide it over the studs, okay?
it's in there.
You got it over? Do you have it over the two studs? Grab one of your nuts to hold it in place. All you got to do is just get it started, and that's going to help hold that flange, okay? Awesome, perfect. Okay, now try to get the other side of that flange over the stud.
All right.
Good?
Yep.
All right, now do the same thing for the other side, okay? Get that bad boy started. Okay, now, what I want you to do, Max, is I've actually got that up there pretty nice, up against the head right now. Go ahead and just run those down with your finger until they're nice and even, okay? Let's come back here. Those aren't tight yet. So now we want to come back here where we can still move the pipe just a little bit. And we want to install the mount bolt. Not going to tighten this either. So we've got the bolt. There's a spacer that M4 supplied. And then for the back side, there is a flange nut. The directions actually call for a washer. I decided to opt out of the washer myself, right? Due to the thickness of the washer and the length of the bolt, I prefer the way that just fits. So we're going to go minus washer for our application here. Now, this is a key step, torquing down these flange nuts. It's important that you don't over torque. You don't want to bend and distort these flanges, and you also want to make sure that you have each side on one flange torqued evenly. A great way to do that is to run them down by hand, like you saw us doing earlier, And you want to start off, you want to just get them finger tight, and you want to have an even amount of threads showing on the other side of each nut. If you start off even, it's easier to keep it that way when you torque it. Got them all run down. Before I tighten anything up back here, I want to get it tight up here at the head. And this is a process. I'm going to really take my time here. Everything's going to be small moves, right? Not a lot of torque. Small moves. Keep it even as possible. Constantly checking to see if one side is run down further than the other, and also be really cognizant of distorting that flange. You want to avoid doing that at all costs. So you'll see I'm going to go back and forth a little bit here from each one. And really take my time. When I'm done and I have these all torqued evenly, I'm going to put just a little bit of high temp silicone on the threads, the exposed threads, and we'll use that almost as a safety wire to help prevent the nut from coming loose, or if it does happen to loosen up just a little bit, it'll prevent it from vibrating off the motorcycle. Okay, header's tight up front. The mount is ready to be torqued down. We're going to now just finish building the rest of the system. Max is going to torque down that bolt. Make sure you got them good and square, buddy. Good. Okay, hold it right there. Ready? All right, we're good. Next up is the fuel sensor. I need to wind this back up, so I'm going to twist the harness in the opposite direction enough that when I put it in place, you see it's kind of wound up, right? I get the thread started. And right there, it jumped in, and you'll see now this thing will straighten itself out all the way as I run that down, like so, okay? So we can go ahead and get that back up into position a bit. Go ahead and snug that up. That part I will do. Like so. And while we're here, we'll just go ahead and take all these spring steel retainers. Just get that harness secured again real nice, as it was when we started. Okay, that is all good and secure. Now we're ready to install the mid-pipe, the bracket, and the canister. We're going to reuse those two fasteners, kiddo. Of course, he had to take the other foot peg bracket off. That was super important, and that was directly after he farted and fouled up the whole video set. Thanks, kid. Anti-seize, where the mid-pipe goes over the header and where the canister goes onto the mid-pipe. It's true, you did definitely fart and it stunk. We're going to use just a little bit of anti-seize. They supply it. And this is so you're able to, A, get the pipe slid over easier. Okay, that's important. And B, if down the road you need to pull this thing apart, having this little film of anti-seize on it is going to be the difference between struggling or it just coming right apart. I'd like to point out the quality of stuff they've done here. I mean, these barrel clamps are top shelf. This is a really nice system, including that bracket to mount the system, also super bitchin'. Okay, buddy. Go ahead and slide that on. You don't need a lot of pressure. Kind of, there you go. Now let's rotate it up so it looks like it makes sense. Perfect, okay. A little close to the bike, so you're gonna wanna just slip that down, right? You see how that kind of comes in line now? Now we got the canister. Guide that on there. Canister actually seats all the way. Make sure that mid-pipe is seated as well, which it is. Okay, now, the canister strap itself. I have to manipulate this just a little bit, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and use all the stuff they supplied, get that into position. My assistant's gonna go put the nut on the back, like so. It's super gorgeous carbon. Oof. This is beautiful, isn't it, buddy? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead and snug this up. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and tighten up the barrel clamps that they supplied with it. 5mm T-handle. You don't want the barrel clamp all the way to the very end. Right about there, I think, is going to be a good spot. Make sure you've got everything rotated in place nicely. I'm just going to kind of just get that started. Go back here and make sure I like what I got going on, which I do. It looks awesome. Kind of hold that there. There's, once again, with these two, you don't want to go and over torque these and just crush everything, okay? So you want to get it torqued nicely, right to the point where things just aren't rotating anymore. You can feel that really start to bite and snug up right there. Now we'll come back to the canister itself. And do the same thing.
These boots.
Yeah, you're welcome. The squeak is no charge. Double check this one now. After you've run the bike too and it's hot, all right, you get a good heat cycle in it, you could come back and recheck those too. Double check everything. Make sure it's torqued well. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to use some Loctite back here. Remember, this is a project bike. We take a lot of things off, put new things on, so I won't use a lot of Loctite with the installs. Now it's time to clean the system. Before you start this bike, you want to clean all these pipes off nicely. I like to use WD-40 and a clean rag. You wipe it down before you start it, and that helps prevent handprints from burning into the pipe when it's new.
Now it's time to start with the bike to see it's going to achieve the max van approval. And also, Jordan. I do ride motorcycles. That was actually me in the picture, but this is the bike that I ride on at the track. Alright, now, start it off. Oh, I think it sounds good.
So what's it gonna be, buddy?
It's got the Max Van Der Poel approval for sure.
For sure, huh? You ready to ride this thing hopefully this weekend again?
Uh-huh.
New M4 system on there, oh yeah, maybe a little more power. This one's supposed to make the most power. All in all joking aside now, I really like the way this went together. They did a great job on this. The design that Kyle put into this thing, no springs at all, right? The barrel clamps at the canister, the mid-pipe, having the spigots welded onto the header. They went in there in the welds, they ground it out so it was nice and smooth so it would flow better. And like I said, if you look around, do some research on the forums, as I understand it, this thing's making a ton of power. This system is really popular for the bike. If you want to remove the passenger pegs, you can do that. It comes with this bracket. You don't have to use that. You can use your stock foot peg bracket and mount. You'll be good to go. Super impressed. It looks great. It's fully approved. I'm Brian Van.
I'm Max Van.
We're out of here.